Hello, Kareen, and welcome to my first episode of the podcast. And you have joined me all the way from Switzerland. It's really early morning for you. How do you feel being a part of this show and being featuring on the very first episode?
I'm very enthused and I'm very grateful to be here. It's nice to be the first one, and anyway, it's nice to do that. I love podcasts and love those conversations.
Great. So, Kareen, before we actually get into the conversation, why don't you tell our viewers where are you from? What do you do? Introduce yourself.
Yeah. So as you said, I'm from Switzerland. I grew up here in this country. And nowadays I am an entrepreneur. I help people who have goals and who want to grow. And I also help people with movement, people that want to do yoga, for example, or different types of activities. I really believe in creating space. And I really love the connection between mind and body. So whenever I can help somebody through the body understand what can happen in people's lives, I use it. And I just want to help people being really well in their lives, healthy, happy in all categories of life.
That's amazing and a lot of beautiful work that you do out there. So, you shared something about your interest in movement in yoga. So, tell me a bit more about it. How did it all start?
It was for personal reasons at first. I started to just practice yoga. I went to classes. I was very anxious, always worrying, and I thought it's not a good way to live. So I just wanted to first learn, how to really sit down and be happy for myself. And what happened then was I went on different retreats and I started to really love it and to understand how well I could feel with that. I just got in love with the process and decided to go to India and to become a yoga teacher. And that's when the whole process started. Now I'm teaching yoga and I'm just moving on, learning and discovering new things as well for me as well. It's just always based on my own experience. And I love how you can really feel the connection with your body, and when you understand what's going on, then you can really do more. So I just love the idea of the flow, and everything flows in life. If you can understand how things flow in your body, you understand the energy, and then you can also understand how it can flow in your life. You discover the idea of ease, you discover the idea of how thoughts can flow, and this whole idea of dancing your life in a way which I find is nice. And it's just that I want to transfer to people through different ways.
Right, that's amazing. So, how different do you feel? Like, how much of an impact has yoga made into your life, the entire movement thing? As in, I understood that you now have a connection with yourself, and it helps you a lot in terms of managing your focus and also your day-to-day. How do I put it? Your day-to-day small decisions that you take. So this has a huge impact. So how do you think it has made a difference into your life?
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's what I find is very fascinating between yoga and then coaching in general, and what we learned with Bob, for example, Bob Proctor.
Yes.
Because what I discovered through yoga first was this idea of withdrawing from the senses and really living from the inside out. So instead of taking everything that is in the outside world and kind of being always prey to that, you really start from the inside, and you find that space within you. And that's what yoga taught me in the first place. You can actually find this place within where it's always calm. Nothing happens. It's still. It's very quiet. And from that place, it's easier to go out and to think and to make decisions. Living from that perspective, it's first of all, I think that's where the anxiety goes away. You find your well-being, and you also understand there is me inside. There is this instance, this higher self.
Yes.
That's how I found it the first place. And then I got the connection with, okay, so now if I can think from the inside out, then I don't need to care what other people think. And I don't need to care about the circumstances, and I can just create. So that's how everything got connected. The first, I think, the foundation with yoga was discovering the higher self and the inside space.
That's so beautifully explained. So, Let me ask you the next question. Like, what are some of the challenges that you have faced in your life, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. My biggest challenge that I've always had, I think it's a very common one that a lot of people share, especially women, maybe that's how I see it. It's to do with their self-image, self-esteem, self-confidence, just believing I can do it, believing in me. I've always thought I'm not capable of that. And that's why I'm so grateful for yoga as well, because it showed me you can learn something, you can do it, you can become good at it. Especially something physical, which I was never told I was good at gym, for example. So that was my biggest challenge, to really believe in me and to see me, just perceive me in a positive way. You know, we have this inner voice which is very critical, very judgmental. I don't know for others, but for me it's always been very, very negative. And that's honestly what gets in the way. You can have the ideas, you can decide on goals, but when you have that constantly, undermining you instead of undermining you, or what, it's not supporting you, it's going against you. When that happens, it's really hard to move forward because you have so much resistance. So I've always had a lot of resistance in my life coming from inside. That's my biggest challenge.
Right. And what helped you overcome this challenge? Like, how did you work on your self-image? How did you improve on that?
Yeah. Honestly, in the first place, of course, I started to study the Bob Proctor's program, and he has a very good program on that. Luckily, I started with that program, which is the Winner's Image, it's called. So working on that at first was really helpful because I started to speak to myself in a different way, but it was not consistent enough. So I would still, go back to the old demons in a way. So for me, the best help was to have a mentor and to have a supportive group. Because the thing is, more often than not in society, people will take the same way. I mean, they will speak in the same way as your inside voice. So I had a lot of people that were criticizing or judging, or at least not really supporting. Right. And so when I finally got that group, when you enter the field of personal development, when you get a mentor or a coach, it's different because these people support you. They speak to you in a positive way. Yes. So the biggest help for me was to have somebody all of a sudden telling me maybe just that I'm gorgeous, or that I can do it, or that I'm so good at this, or that, all these positive statements. Yes. That for the first time shift your perception and shift the belief you have about yourself.
Absolutely. Yes. So the last, you've mentioned it previously that you were talking something about the program that you have done by Bob Proctor. Could you elaborate a bit on the program? Like, what is the program about and how it has helped you, so that the viewers can also know more about it?
Of course. Yeah, so Bob has different programs. I mentioned that one, but what I'm doing now and what I really believe in is so helpful is the program called Thinking into Results. It's a program that has different chapters, and you have a coach, you have a mentor that helps you throughout. What I love about it is the way it's built. It's really constructed in the way that you really build from first finding out what you really want, defining a goal. Right. And then you work on different chapters where you get more awareness of who you are, of how it works. What is the creative process, for example? I mean, it just opens your mind and open your eyes to how to live your life. It gives you such a structure that you can focus. For me, that was always, I was always confused. What do I really want? And first of all, also having the doubt and worries of, can I really do this? So when you get into that path, it's a journey and it keeps you on track. And that's what I love the most, because what we need is focus. We need focus and discipline. We need to keep going. We need to take action. And that's what the process does for you. And especially when you have a good mentor, you keep on track, you keep moving forward, you keep just improving. And because you do that, you see the results. You start having more results. That gives you more energy and enthusiasm, and you keep going. And that's the beauty of this program.
Absolutely. As you're speaking, it does sound that the program is absolutely phenomenal. And I would actually recommend each one of them to at least have a look at it, because I understand it's extremely, extremely powerful and works deeply on your subconscious level. So yes, it's absolutely beautiful. So
Absolutely.
the next question is, how do you think this has actually influenced your life? Like what kind of a role this entire thinking into results has played into your life?
You completely changed my life. You completely shifted the results that I have. You know, I've been doing a lot of things. I've been in personal development for years.
Okay.
I even did other programs by Bob, as I said, but
Mhm.
I really never had results. I was studying it, I was speaking about it, and of course, it gets you enthusiastic to speak about things, right? But when you have results, tangible things, then that makes more sense. That's when you move forward. That's when you finally have what you want and become who you really want to be. So for me, that's what the program did. It gave me results that now I can, I don't know how to explain. It gives you so much confidence at the same time, and you have more faith and you keep moving. So you just get better, like because you had those first results.
I think it's more to do with the shift that you actually start thinking and focusing on things that can happen instead of things that cannot happen. Because prior
Mhm.
to that, we are always focusing on things that won't happen and how it won't work for us. And then it's a complete 360-degree turn, and then we start focusing and trying slowly to shift our mind on things that can actually work for us, things that can be good for us. So yes, I think that's the most difficult part. That the shifting is the most toughest part, I feel.
Absolutely.
Yes. Great. So, what are some of the noticeable changes you see in the younger Kareen that was, maybe 10 years back or 15 years back? Okay. And the Kareen who is presently talking to me. Okay. So, what is the huge difference that you see in yourself now?
There's a lot of differences. One is physical, actually. It's hard for people that don't know me to say and to tell,
Yes.
but I've changed a lot physically because I think when the energy changes, you know how when you work on your beliefs,
Hmm.
all of a sudden it's like you open doors from the inside, right? It's not
Yes.
physical doors, but
Yes.
all of a sudden you have more energy and it's flowing more in your body.
Right.
That's I think what happened with me. So with time, with changing those things and also seeing me differently,
Mm-hmm.
my physical appearance changed. So I think I look nicer now. I have a better appearance now. Just my face and everything is less swollen, or so that's one thing. It's pretty impressive to look at it for me. I mean, just to see how all the changes will show in the outside. And of course, then just the way that I communicate with people, my confidence has changed a lot. The way I express myself, I've become a lot more relaxed, and I'm not anxious at all anymore now. I'm really, calm, and that's a great way to be with people because I think it's more welcoming. So my relationships have gotten better. I can feel people want to be around me way more than before. And I used to be so discreet and everything in the inside. Now I just let it out. So I've discovered I have sense of humor, for example. I'm pretty funny actually, and it's just nice to see when you let it out, like who
Yes.
you really are.
Absolutely.
So just that, the communication part, the smiling part, the positive energy, that's something that I can see now, and taking initiatives because it's all in there. It's just sleeping. And when you let it out, it's just you're more alive.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, you are so gorgeous. Every time I meet you, I always remember putting out a comment on the chat. You are nothing less than the best of the Hollywood actresses. I must say that. You are absolutely stunning and gorgeous, Kareem.
Oh, thank you.
Great. So, uh, now coming back to one of the last questions that I have with me is what is the one piece of advice that you would want to give to our audience?
Yeah, be yourself. Just be yourself. Whatever you do in personal development, have that in mind. It's always what I have in mind, to become more of me, to express more of me. I mean, that's what growth is. It's just letting it out, expressing more of you. And I think if you have that in the background, whatever the goal might be, right? We all have different goals, but to keep that in mind, that in the end, you are here for a reason. There's only one of you. And if you bring that unicity to the world, if you let it out, the world will benefit. You'll be happier. I think it's the only way to real happiness, to find this alignment with yourself and accept it, and then let it be out. Let express it. Express who you are.
Absolutely. And so if you're someone who is looking for personal development and are looking to get into yoga and meditation, you know who to connect with. You need to connect with Kareen, right? Kareen, it was an absolute delight having you on my show, sharing all the things that you have shared, the importance of making realize people that how important it is to be kind to yourself, to just be yourself, the importance of letting go of things and not, keeping everything onto yourself, because that allows you, like you said, to be free, to be happy, to be more joyful. So I'm extremely grateful for you sharing these beautiful thoughts over here with me. Any last words that you want to say?
Yeah, just in continuing with what I said about being yourself, is really this acceptance, stopping the battle. We just fight so much with ourselves. There's so much resistance. We create it. There's no need for that. It's just the letting go of that, and then seeing yourself in a positive way. When you do that, when that shift happens, then you can breathe. Then it's just almost like it happens automatically. Then things start to happen. Because the energy can.
Absolutely do. All right, Karina, I wish you a very happy and a fruitful day. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure.